What is good, defenders, and welcome to episode 318 of Defenders of the Bank, the LAFC podcast your mother warned you about. That's absolutely right. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. J.R. Liebert, of course, Philly still on location right now in Europe, currently in London or surrounding cities. I know he's on a stadium tour right now, so it's a solo Scarf endeavor once again. And everybody, it's Defenders After Dark, 10:30 at night here on a beautiful Thursday, August 8th. And of course, a lot of you, just like I did, watched the San Jose Necaxa game to see who we would be facing in the round of 16. And it's going to be the Smurfs headed to BMO. We will host the round of 16 on Tuesday, August 13th against San Jose. Now, we don't know when, we don't know the time yet, but we do know Tuesday, August 13th against San Jose. So, very exciting times in the world of Leagues Cup. I can't wait, but listen, careful. San Jose could be a trap. We'll talk more about that in a second, but an exciting game at BMO in front of 12,000. 12,000. That's right. 12,000 people were said to have showed up, or at least tickets sold at BMO Stadium. Here's what I know. Even the 3252 was only at like 2,800, but with the 3252, what you got was 90 minutes of full-throated support. Loved the 3252. By far, my favorite thing in that match was that from the very kick until the very end, the 3252 showed up just like they do every single match. They were loud. They were present. They helped to spur on the boys. They looked good in front of Olivier, which was great. More on Olivier Giroud in just a minute. But yes, it was a big win. It was a big unveiling of Olivier Giroud at BMO Stadium, hanging out with Will Ferrell and Paul up in the director's box. But it was quite the paltry attendance everywhere other than the North End. I know where I sit in Founders, there was like 8 of us. We could just spread out, hang out. My mom came to the game with me, which was incredible. As many of you guys know, the Austin match was unfortunately the 1-year anniversary of my dad passing. So had my mom with me. I wasn't going to go anywhere without mom yesterday. And so while it could have been a little bit of a tough day, it certainly wasn't because of the heroics of LAFC. So I really do appreciate that. And as always, thinking about my dad on that day for sure. But that being said, we want to kick off the way we do every single episode. Don't forget that the Mo Facio Futsal Court fundraising effort is still underway. The court now being built in Cudahy. And so head on over to lafc.com/Mo-Facio to make sure you get your donations in. And I want to send a very, very big thank you to Anna and everybody who organized the Mo Facio kickball tournament last weekend. We had an absolute blast. Tilo, I hope the groin is okay. Tilo, who played for the Defenders team. If you guys don't know Tilo, he is an incredible dude, super nice, and bummed that he pulled a groin. Tilo, hope you're doing okay. We lost both of our matches. We lost to the Cuervos and we lost to one of the 2 D9U teams, but we put up a good fight. We had a lot of fun. It wasn't about if you won or lose. Wow, if we won or lost, yeesh. Defenders After Dark, folks. It's how you didn't get injured while playing the game. So it was great. Ben is in the chat. Ben took one for the team quite a bit. He definitely hit the ground a couple of times. Hopefully Ben's good though. That's Relentless Ben in there. One of our fearless leaders out there on the field. So again, thank you to Anna and everybody who organized the Mo Facio kickball tournament. We went 0-2, and that was that. But you know what? We had fun. Episode 318, Shreveport, Louisiana, and other parts of northern Louisiana. Nothing more to say about that, just so that you know. Area code 318. Shreveport, Louisiana, and all of the northern parts, but before they get to that part that kind of veers off to the side that makes it look like an L a little bit. So yes, we will have our This Day in LAFC history, a little bit of news and notes, because we said farewell to one of maybe two players that we're going to be saying farewell to rather shortly. So let's get into This Day in LAFC history. And of course, the match played on August 7th, 2024. Let's go 5 years earlier. Oh, goodness, 6 years earlier. Yeesh. August 7th, 2019, when LAFC acquired a 19-year-old Brian Rodriguez as a young designated player from Peñarol in the Uruguayan Primera División. Brian Rodriguez would become the 4th designated player in team history. Can you name the other 3? That's right. Carlos Vela, Diego Rossi, and Andre Horta. Yeah, there you go. So we were still trying to figure out that third DP. Obviously, Horta didn't work out. LAFC also on August 7, 2019, with Brian Rodriguez coming in. That meant somebody had to go. And that was Christian Ramirez, traded to the Houston Dynamo for $250,000 in allocation money, almost a year to the day that we acquired him. He scored 7 goals over 28 appearances for LAFC in all competitions. And he also made his first 2 caps for the U.S. men's national team while playing for LAFC, scoring his first goal. He scored against Panama. So that is This Day in LAFC history. And of course, news and notes, one big item on the docket, and that is Francisco Pancho Ginella is now part of our history. LAFC and Pancho Ginella mutually agreeing to a contract termination today, Thursday, August 8th, 2024. LAFC signed Pancho Ginella ahead of the 2020 season, and he would go on to debut for us against León in the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League. Ginella would play 64 matches across all competitions for LAFC, picking up 3 assists and scoring his lone goal against Seattle in 2020 at home. So Ginella had been on loan actually since basically the 2022 All-Star break, and his contract termination, clearly it settles one of the 2 big questions that we have, the other one being, of course, El Agua Pistolero, Mario Gonzalez, the water pistol. We wish Pancho all the best on his next club, of course, unless he plays us. So Pancho Ginella now officially part of our history. He was making like $500,000, which is a ton of money in MLS. So with that off the books, that's pretty big for us. So that's a lot more money to be freed up. Who knows? Maybe it's extra TAM or GAM or a little bit of space for us to sign someone bigger. I don't know. We'll see. Real quick, check in on Angel City. Since our last episode, Angel City played 2 matches in the NWSL versus Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup. Just rolls off the tongue. They won their former against San Diego Wave. They lost their latter against Gotham FC, and they did both without scoring a goal in regulation. 0-0 against San Diego Wave, but won 5-3 on penalty kicks to advance to the semifinals of, I'll say it one more time, the NWSL versus Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup. But unfortunately, 5 days later against Gotham, actually in New Jersey, they were kept off the score sheet again and lost 1-0, thus being eliminated from the NWSL versus Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup. Whew. So their next match is a friendly at BMO Stadium. Kind of exciting because they're playing a friendly against Juarez at BMO on August 18th. So Sunday, August 18th. I don't know what you guys are doing, but head on over to BMO and see Juarez take on Angel City FC in a friendly. That's to keep them in shape before they resume the NWSL regular season. I hear you guys. I see your chat news about David Martinez. Don't worry. I feel the same way you all do. I did ask, by the way, about Lewis O'Brien in the press conference after the LAFC victory over Austin. Here's a big one. He is not finished with his visa paperwork yet. That's the main thing. Steve Shrundler said, I can't do anything about visa paperwork. It's just taking a long time. So he's trying to get his visa paperwork taken care of still for Lewis O'Brien. For Olivier Giroud, the reason why he was not in the 18 is that he is just simply not yet match fit I don't know if it's enough time by Tuesday, August 13th, for him to be match fit. I don't know. It could be one of those things where he decides he can give us 10 or 15 minutes late if we need it, or maybe we're up by 2 or 3-1 or 2 or 3-0 going into the 80th minute and we can get him 10 minutes on the pitch. I don't know. But he was definitely not match fit and not ready, thus not in the 18 for the Austin match. And it's still a coin flip to see if he'll be ready for San Jose. So look, that was all fun. And by the way, in our quadrant there of everything going on, Seattle Sounders defending their home fake grass, beating Galaxy 3-1, and it was over quick. They scored 2 goals very, very quickly. They put it away late. 3-1, Sounders over Galaxy, and Pumas also winning their match. So it will be Seattle and Pumas. And I think that match is actually in Seattle next. So that'll be interesting. I'm definitely going to be watching that match, or at least watching the replay back on Apple TV. I got to say, guys, I really do love Apple TV because I can go back and rewatch all these other matches. It's pretty cool. So, one of those things that we get to go back and watch and see teams that we don't normally see. And yeah, Galaxy fans upset because, they had to travel to Seattle and yeah, you know what? You lost 3-1 to Seattle. Seattle getting right at the right time of the season. San Jose getting right in the Leagues Cup, by the way. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's do a very quick check-in on LAFC 2. Behind a brace from Luis Muller, and we do like ourselves some Luis Muller, LAFC 2 defeated Real Monarchs 2-1 on Sunday, August 4th on the campus of Cal State Fullerton at Titan Stadium. Thomas Hasal got his second start in goal and the captain's armband, by the way. That's kind of neat for the wall, Thomas Hasal. But he did have to come off after 80 minutes. A little concerned that he was injured, but he was included in the 18 or 21 or 23, however many were allowed in Leagues Cup. He was on the Leagues Cup roster, eligible for selection if something were to have happened, I guess, with Hugo Lloris or maybe Abraham Romero. So hopefully it wasn't an injury that he picked up. I didn't go back and rewatch the LAFC 2 match and check out what happened in the 80th minute. But the interesting development, to be perfectly honest, is that there was no David Ochoa in the 18 for LAFC 2. They brought in another keeper, ostensibly from the academy. I have to ask Carlos Mariscal or maybe a coach about this keeper. We have David Ochoa, who was a very, very big name to sign for an MLS Next Pro club, that's for sure. David Ochoa, not a member of the 18. I've heard and seen varying degrees of happiness and unhappiness from David Ochoa. This was kind of a prove-it year for him, and it's been very up and down at best for David Ochoa at LAFC 2. So Tomas Hasal getting the start. Who knows? Maybe Tomas Hasal moving up in the pecking order a little bit with the keepers. Not sure where David Ochoa is or was in that one. But next Sunday, August 11th, so just a couple of days from now, Ventura County Football Club and LAFC 2 playing each other. However, nowhere on the internet does it say where that match is. Doesn't say that it's at Titan Stadium. Doesn't say that it's somewhere out in Ventura County. It doesn't say where it is. So I don't know. I don't know where the LAFC 2 match is. I tried to look it up. I should have just texted Carlos. He would have probably told me. My fault, but we'll move on. So let's talk about LAFC versus Austin first and foremost. Austin riding an absolute high coming into this match. They defeated Pumas and they defeated Monterrey in group play, and they did it in the toughest of ways. In case you didn't see their stats, in the 2 matches, first of all, they went down a man and then went up 2-0 on Pumas, held on for the 3-2 win, and then beat Monterrey going away 2-0, but they did it with 26 and 25% possession, and they only accounted for 11 shots in 2 matches. However, in those 11 shots, they were able to put 9 on target and 5 in the back of the net. They barely had the ball, but they were super clinical with it. So Austin FC deserving every bit to be able to come to BMO and come get their beat down. But they absolutely earned their spot in the round of 32. But they would play very, very differently versus LAFC. First of all, Giancarlo in the chat is asking how come Giroud doesn't have to apply for a visa. He may have already gotten all that paperwork done when they knew the deal was done in December. Because from what we know, right, this deal was done 6 months ago. So all that visa paperwork, everything that they might have needed, might have already been done in the preparation for him coming over in this window. So that's probably why Olivier Giroud didn't need it. I don't think he has his U.S. citizenship or a green card. So I think that was already all done months and months and months ago. So the head coach, Josh Wolf, incredibly well-spoken. He and Steve Cherundolo get along very, very well. They obviously know each other very well from their U.S. men's national team days. I thought, and I said this on One More Sleep, the Austin FC that we would see would look a lot like the two Austin FC sides we saw. That's a fun one. Against Pumas and Monterrey. I was dead wrong. Instead of sitting back and letting LAFC have the ball, Josh Wolf said, no. We got to go take it. We got to go take it from these guys. And take it they did. 69% giggity possession to just 31 for LAFC. Jay Gutierrez asks a fun question in the chat. I'll put this up on the screen. Do you think attendance will be down again since we are playing San Jose? Here's why I think attendance was down. 3 reasons. Ready? 3 reasons. Reason number 1, the game time was only announced on like Sunday, right? We had to wait to see who our opponent would be. We had to wait to see how the other games would shake out. So honestly, there were people who maybe didn't have time to get their schedule together because of how late the game was announced. Number 2, it's in the middle of the week on a work day. And yes, I know the game didn't start until 8 o'clock, but still, for a lot of people, they've got kids, they've got other responsibilities. There's just not enough time to make it to a lot of these midweek games. Number 3, if it were a Liga MX team, I actually think attendance would have been much, much better. It's a more intriguing, it's a different matchup. How many times has Austin come to BMO? How many times have we gone to Q2? It's not an intriguing matchup. I'm sorry, but I think I'm the only one that got excited to see Jossie Zardes come onto the pitch. I think I'm the only one that got excited to see Sebastian Driussi. I think I'm the only one that got excited to see their new designated player, Osman Bukhari. I don't think a lot of people care about Austin. I think if it would have been one of the Liga MX teams, it would have been Pumas, it would have been somebody like that. It would have been very, very different. But that leads me to Tuesday, August 13th against San Jose. Here's the only thing that I think switches things up a little bit. We're a little bit closer to the trophy. It's the round of 16. You can kind of start to see it a little bit. And now we know who our next pathway will be, right? It's either going to be Seattle, which will be a great matchup. And I think if that's at BMO, it'll be very well attended. Although I think if we play Seattle, it would be in Seattle. Or it's going to be against Pumas. And I think if we play Pumas, it's at BMO. So I think it'll be really well attended. So you can kind of start to project out a little bit, which is going to be kind of fun. But that being said, we still got a long ways to go. We got to get there. But I think the attendance will be better against San Jose. Number 1, San Jose looked pretty good today. We'll talk about why in a minute. But San Jose looked pretty good today. And also, we have a little bit more time. So we'll see. So let's get back to LAFC against Austin. 69% possession rather than 25 or 26% possession. Really an incredible job by Austin to have a completely different game plan and blueprint. However, like we saw when Carson tried the same thing, like we saw with several other teams this season, other than really Columbus, you can have the ball for the majority of the match, but if you're not going to do anything with it, or if LAFC's defense is going to be that bend but not break defense that we have seen all season, or if Hugo Lloris is going to come up with 2 massive saves over the course of 90 minutes, 5 saves total, en route to his 11th clean sheet of the campaign across all competitions. Whew. I think that's if our defense is playing well and maybe Hugo lets in a softie or doesn't make one of the amazing diving saves that we've seen, then you can kind of get to LAFC a little bit. But if Hugo's on and our defense is on and we're being clinical when we have possession, it's just too much. Now, certainly Steve Cherundolo was not happy with the first half of play, definitely the first 15, 20 minutes. He said so in the press conference. But we did enough in the moments where we needed to. And I'll go through that. So we'll see. We'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. But let's get into the lineups, especially for Austin. Man, if you would have heard Josh Wolf in the press conference, you would have thought they had 11 guys from like Valdosta State who had just come off of the NCAA Division II finals. He was just saying, oh, they have so much more talent over at LAFC. This is still a talented roster of professional soccer players who come from all over, who still represent their country on different national teams, and who are still, some of them, all-star and MLS best 11 caliber players. But to hear Josh Wolf talk about the talent disparity, look, I don't think he's wrong. There's a disparity in talent, but I don't think it was the Grand Canyon he was making it seem. Goalkeeper Brad Stuver, who we know very, very well. Stuver's been up. He's been down this season. He's a good MLS keeper. That's about as vanilla of a compliment as one can receive, but he's a good MLS keeper. Their back line in the 4-3-3 consisted of Michael Dessler, Matt Hedges, Brendan Hines, Ike, and Guillermo Biro. And there's a fun video on No Context LAFC over on Twitter of Guillermo Biro leaving the pitch. It is not suitable for work, but you can certainly go and watch that after you're done listening or watching Defenders of the Bank. Here in the midfield, one of my favorite players to watch, a player who I really didn't think had an impact on this match very well at all, was Danny Pereira. Danny Pereira, one of the better midfielders and a player who I'm still surprised. If I'm being honest, I'm surprised is still with Austin. I thought he might have gone to Europe, might have gone to go play with at least one of those lesser known, maybe English Championship League teams or somebody in La Liga or something that I know he wants to go. And he's definitely got the talent. Long-time MLS veteran Alex Ring and the coach's son, Owen Wolf. And up top, I mean, they're pretty talented up top. John Gallagher, formerly of Atlanta United, Sebastian Driussi, and Osman Bukhari, two of their designated players who are as good as any players in Major League Soccer. In the 18, it's Zan Komanic, Johan Valencia, Diego Rubio, Yader Obrian, and one of my favorite players of all time, Jossie Zardes. I live in Lawndale. Right down the street from me is Lusinger High School. That's where Jossie Zardes went to school. It is not where I went to school, but it's where Jossie Zardes went to school. He was from Hawthorne, my first ever MLS favorite player back in his days with the Galaxy. I like Jossie Zardes a lot, and he was a lot of fun to watch. He has played with several clubs since his days down in Carson, and he is still one of my favorite players to watch. He would get limited minutes, evidently dealing with a hamstring injury. And we have seen now Steve Cherundolo mix it up. It's not just always the 4-3-3. This kind of morphed. Oftentimes it was a 3-4-3. There were even times where it became a 3-5-2 on occasion. Lots of defenders out there for sure for LAFC, and they're playing very, very well in that deep shell that they sometimes take. Hugo Lloris in goal, and again, we mentioned it, 11 clean sheets on the year now across all competitions for Hugo Lloris, very quickly cementing himself as a top keeper in Major League Soccer. Turns out Hugo's still pretty good, and there's a little bit more tire left on the tread than we might have thought. The back line of three consisted of three center backs with Jesus Murillo, Maxime Chanot in the middle, and Aaron Long. All of them played very, very well. Sergi Palencia, Edward Atuesta, Ilie Sanchez, and Omar Campos are the four in the middle, and the three up top, Matty Bogusz, Denis Bouanga, and a rough first half for David Martinez. You can't sugarcoat it. I asked Steve Cherundolo in the press conference, what did you see from David Martinez in the first half? And there wasn't a lot of positives, but the thing that Steve Cherundolo did say is that as David Martinez is still coming back into full match fitness and really learning the offense, although at this point you have to wonder, it definitely can't be an issue of fitness, but maybe it can. I don't know. The kid's, 18, 19 years old now. He said that all minutes are good minutes. I'll take it, I guess. I guess all minutes are good minutes. But that being said, I don't know if I 100% buy into it. He had a rough first half, and he, of course, would be replaced by Kike Oliveira. The other players that would come on in the second half, Ryan Hollingshead, Eddie Segura, who is playing excellently in a limited role for us this season in a couple different ways, really kind of becoming a Swiss Army knife for us. And then Kike Oliveira, Kai Kamara, and Eric Duenas. Lots of Ks. Kike, Eric ends with a K. Kai Kamara, there are 2 Ks there. Lots of Ks. If it were like a strikeout board, it'd be kind of cool. But my Mets don't strike out very many. We don't have Jacob deGrom anymore. No Noah Syndergaard. No Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. Anyways, it didn't take long for LAFC to get on the board, and not in a way where I might have thought. It was a soft attempt right in front of goal that Austin put on target for Hugo to make his first save. A very, very easy save. And this wasn't one, excuse me, this wasn't one, what's up, Dave? Amsterdam in the house. This wasn't one where Hugo was trying to play it super quickly. It wasn't one where he was trying to play it super quickly at all. This was one where he was just, all right, let me put a ball in over the top. And look, let's talk about another elephant in the room. The pitch was god awful, right? They had the concert, or the boxing match just a couple of days ago, and then a concert of some sort. Obviously, with Foo Fighters coming up this next weekend, the pitch is going to be just as bad, if not worse, because the Foo Fighters concert is on the 11th. And the game is on the 13th. So God bless the grounds crew. They tried to get Steve Cherundolo in the press conference to say something negative about the pitch. Josh Wolf certainly did. He thought the pitch was in awful condition. He's not wrong. But you know what, guys? This is what you don't want to hear, but this is the truth. Those concerts make us a whole heck of a lot more money than the 17 MLS home matches do over the course of a 365-day calendar year. So when we get these concerts in and we get 10,000 more people or so into BMO, and they're spending a lot more money, a lot more of it's going back to the venue, and that trickles down into the team as well. So it's one of those things that maybe every now and then we got to take a crappy looking pitch in order to get these concerts and get these players and everything else. Schmurdy, I'll talk about David Martinez in just a minute. I got you. Don't worry. But this was one where maybe the ball took a weird hop on the turf. But look, if I watch the play over and over and over again, I'm watching 3 Austin players who kind of look like me running out there, barely jogging, that not really taking into account Denis Bouanga. I thought that one defender thought the other defender was going to go, and the other defender thought the other defender was going to go, and nobody went with Denis. And so all of a sudden, he's 1v1 with Stuver. Stuver tried to come out, cut off the angle as much as possible. But that being said, it's Denis Bouanga. He fires it kind of off of the leg of Brad Stuver into the back of the net. And the cool part is we have a keeper assist, folks. Hugo Lloris, in his long and distinguished, incredible career, has only had one other assist before this in 2010. So we're talking a first assist in 14 years. Incredible job by Hugo Lloris, putting the ball perfectly on to Denis, and Denis did the rest of the work. Maybe trying to show off in front of Olivier Giroud, because just a couple of minutes later on the broadcast, they had already showed him, because I went back and I rewatched the match. They show Olivier several minutes earlier on the broadcast than they showed him at BMO. It was about the 15th minute where Olivier Giroud is there, and then all of a sudden, coming out of nowhere, is the face of Will Ferrell. So they were in the director's box together. And again, man, Olivier Giroud is so tall. He's a big dude. Cannot wait to see him. But the 12,000 strong at BMO definitely erupted in cheer when they saw Olivier Giroud. In the 20th minute, Sebastian Driussi reminded all of us why he is as good as he is, an absolute long-range missile, just high and over the bar. But a player you have to account for, Sebastian Driussi, the runner-up to Hani Mukhtar for MVP a couple of seasons ago. And in the 32nd minute, I mean, you got to just, I'm going to use Philly's phrase here, you got to tip your hat off to Hugo Lloris. Owen Wolff, the ball was crossed over the box and then headed back across the grain the other way, where Owen Wolff was ready with a little jumping karate kick, and Hugo leaping to his right. I think it was just a one-handed save. Massive effort from Hugo. Owen Wolff was shocked that did not go into the back of the net, and the acrobatics from Hugo, unreal. He was tracking the ball the entire time. Really, it could have been 1-1 there after the 32nd minute. And I'll be perfectly honest, at some point between the 32nd minute and 36th minute, I didn't write down the exact minute, I got frustrated at David Martinez. There were a couple of breaks where he ran the wrong way or crossed over into a lane, crossed over into a channel, took the ball and had no idea what the heck to do with it. There are just too many times that I've seen so far this season David Martinez not make any decision. That's the more frustrating thing. Look, I've said it over and over again. I'm frustrated that sometimes, Ugo. There are too many times where I get frustrated that he doesn't pass the ball to Denis Bouanga. There have been 2 times in particular this season where if all he does is lay off the ball to Denis has 2 more goals, and we actually have 3 more points on the season. But that being said, he's a shooter, right? Shooter's going to shoot, right? Shooter's going to shoot. So I can't be too upset at David Martinez. I mean, he is only a teenager, and we do have Denis Bouanga, and now he's going to have to defer to Olivier Giroud as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. But I just feel like too many times out there, he chases the game. He's not quite sure of where to be and what channel to run, or whether or not to make an overlap or to cut through the middle. And so he kind of half-asses both, and he looks in between out there. And I think we saw that plenty of times with David Martinez in the first half. Really, other than that, not a ton of things going on in the first half. We had Denis from distance trying to catch Brad Stuver out, who just missed over the bar and wide. And then that yellow card to Dessler for the illegal hands to the face, 10-yard penalty on Omar Campos. So Dessler picks up the yellow. Later on in stoppage time, David Martinez, who was warned by the referee, you fouled a guy over here, you fouled a guy over there. That's 1, 2, 3. So there's your yellow card. Unfortunately, he picked up a yellow in stoppage time. That's when I knew his fate was sealed, regardless of what the score was going to be. He was certainly coming out. But by the way, right before stoppage time, end of the 44th minute, beginning of the 45th, another big save by Ugo, and an incredible save once again. He was kind of down in a prone position, but he got his hand up just in time to block this ball. Guys, in the chat, you're talking about Jesus Murillo. Don't worry. I'm bringing him up in the second half. He was all over the place in the second half. Love me some Jesus Murillo. But in the first half, we head into the locker room, and it is 1-0 LAFC. We looked fine, right? We did everything we needed to do. Everything we needed to do in the half to be up 1-0. That's all. That's all. Don't worry. Schmurdy, I got you. I'm going to talk about that 78th minute with Maria in a second. So let's venture into the second half. And again, Austin kind of catching LAFC early. We got very, very lucky that Sebastian Driussi or somebody from Austin was offside. Austin came out 3 minutes in, second half, put one in the back of the net. And you could tell Josh Wolff said, look, now that you've got the ball, keep the ball, take it, and go. And they absolutely went. Sebastian Driussi, the goal doesn't count. We breathe a sigh of relief. It's still 1-0. And I think that kind of helped wake us up a little bit. I really do. Very unhappy with LAFC's effort to start the second half, first 3 or 4 minutes for sure. Omar Campos, a little razzle-dazzle to earn a corner kick in the 52nd minute. The corner got recycled out to Denis, and Denis put a rocket on net on Brad Stuver. It was actually saved out for another corner. Nothing happened on the other corner, but Denis got all of this ball, and Stuver kept it out. David O'Brien asks real quick in the chat, is O'Brien going to be the X factor when all is said and done? He's going to be a key part of what we do. We are going to need a lot of depth in the midfield as we pursue not one, not two, but 3 trophies so far this year in terms of Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and of course, MLS Cup. So I think Lewis O'Brien is going to be a big part of what we do. In the 58th minute, another Ugo save. More of a tough angle, though, for Austin on this one, so an easier save for Ugo. And in the 61st minute, you want to see the difference between why you play a Kike Oliveira right now and a David Martinez right now. First of all, I don't think it's a fair comparison. I don't think you can compare an 18, just turning 19-year-old kid who really doesn't know the full potential and limits of his superpower that he has. You can't compare him to a Kike Oliveira who's coming off of the tournament with Uruguay, where he looked incredible, and comes back and is now a world beater for LAFC. The confidence, the level that he's playing at, I mean, just looks so much better. I'm absolutely enamored with the way that Kike Oliveira is playing, especially since he came back from his stint with Uruguay's national team. Even though he barely played there, that coaching and everything that he received over the entire time that he was there looked absolutely great. But let's talk about Matty Bogusz for a second. Let's talk about Matty David Martinez, 19 years old, but just turned 19, by the way. Just turned 19. Give him 3 more years. I mean, come on. I don't think we're going to have David Martinez for 3 more years, but give him 3 more years. Watch what happens. But let's talk about Matty Bogusz. What Kike Oliveira provides on the pressure, Matty Bogusz provided you with that change of direction. He kept the ball. He was strong on the ball. That's something that we've needed Eduardo Tuesta to be a little bit stronger on the ball this season. Matty Bogusz has been very strong on the ball. It was a quick change of direction, earned more space, threw it up the right-hand side. And, of course, there is Kike, 1v1. And, look, he got lucky. Kike Oliveira got lucky. The defender came and slid in, popped the ball up and over where Brad Stuver was going to be. So for me, Smirty says, I don't see any problem with Atuesta. Don't get me started on the problems with Eduardo Atuesta, but that's not what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to stay positive. Eduardo Atuesta has been fine over the last 5 or 6 matches. He's been fine. He's been fine. I'm not just telling myself that. He's been fine. But the unluckiness is what Kike Oliveira creates. Kike Oliveira takes on his defender. He makes you account for him at all times, especially in the box. The quote from Josh Wolf was, when you spend a lot of time in the opponent's box so you don't score goals, you can't win. That's what robbed Austin of any good chances. They had the ball in our box plenty of times, but whether it was blocked out in front or whether they couldn't put it on target, or on the occasion, Ugo makes a wonderful save. Austin was a bit unlucky, and we were absolutely lucky with our chances. Excuse me. You have to say that goal was very lucky by Kike Oliveira, but it really stemmed from the incredible effort by Matty Bogusz. In the 65th minute, I have it down that it was at least the second time that Jesus Murillo was running down the pitch like he was a number 9 again. At least the second time. My boy Jossie comes in along with Jader Obrian in the 70th minute. 75th minute, Eddie Segura comes on for Ilie. Ryan Hollingshead comes on for Omar. And it's Eddie Segura with the captain armband. I love Eddie Segura wearing the captain's armband. Got a little bone to pick with you, team security, Paul. They showed you sitting down on the job in the 76th minute. What if something were to happen? You got to stand up there, Paul. No, we love Paul. But they showed him on the Jumbotron sitting down. I was shocked. Shocked, I say. So 76 minutes in, Paul's sitting down. 78th minute. 78th minute. Here you go, Schmurdy. You want to talk about it? A little back heel pass in front, and then a little give and go, and a nice cross. Jesus Murillo in the 78th minute. All you Lakers fans out there. All you Lakers fans remember the early days of Shaq and Kobe, where Shaq for no apparent reason whatsoever, would all of a sudden take the ball and run point guard. And Shaq, on occasion, would look great doing it, right? He would sometimes dish in the middle. Players might be a little too afraid. He'd be able to take it all the way down for a dunk. Every now and then, the idea of Shaq running the point just made my heart swell. It was so much fun to watch Shaq run the point. That's what I thought of in this match with Jesus Murillo and his jaunts up the field. He would take it right down Broadway, right down the middle, or he would take it right up that right-hand side. I absolutely loved the effort from Jesus David Murillo, especially there in the 78th minute. You're absolutely right. He did it again in the 86th minute. I mean, he was all over the place. Ugo with a save in the 82nd minute as the shot was deflected by Obrian before it got to him, but he was still able to make the save. Eric Duenas comes on for Edward Atuesta in the 88th minute, and Kai Kamara comes on for Denis, so Denis can get a standing ovation. And I think the last real fun moment of the match is right there at the end in stoppage time when Kai Kamara tries for like that side bicycle kick that was never really going to get in on goal, but it was still a wonderful effort by Kai Kamara. Kai Kamara is my spirit animal. If I could have one, I would want to be like Kai Kamara when I grow up. Absolutely love that guy. And a reversal, a complete reversal of what I predicted would happen. Austin with only 25 and 26% possession. They take the ball 69% of the time. They absolutely own the ball. LAFC barely creating chances, but when they did, it was absolutely clinical. That was Austin's MO coming into the match. LAFC, yeah, they took 10 shots, but only 3 on target, and we won the game 2-0. What that means is 2 of those 3 went in the back of the net. A 66% percentage for your shots that you get on target going into the back of the net. That's really good, people. So we were surgical when we had to be. Our 2 goals came on a 0.8 XG. We got lucky. It's very simple. The soccer gods just liked us a little bit more than Austin. Now, look, we kept putting ourselves in position. We kept playing strong defense, so it's not like we were on our back heel and on the defensive for most of the match. I don't think we were on the defensive. I just think we allowed them to possess, or they chose to possess the ball a little bit more than we would have liked them to. And Steve Cherundolo alluded to that in the press conference. I actually think it might have been Andy Diosa. Andy, we love you, buddy. Check out Andy's podcast. He's absolutely incredible. Andy, Deossa. Make sure you check out Andy. He is all over social media. I think he's the one that asked the question about, is this the style that, I don't know if he said it, either LAFC prefers or Steve Cherundolo prefers, or is this what's best for what our team is made up of? And he said no. He said it's nice to be able to play that way, and it's good to know that we can play that way. But LAFC wants the ball. LAFC wants possession. We want to get out and run. It was Austin with 20-something shots. Now, granted, they only got 5 on target, though, out of those 20-something shots. So you're talking about less than 25% efficiency, whereas we were 2 out of 3 in the back of the net, but still only had 3 out of 10 on target. So the efficiency wasn't great there. But either way, I think you're looking at an LAFC team that can play any style out there. We just got to figure out how to unlock Columbus and we'll be fine. But we can play with any other club out there. An absolute reversal of what I thought was going to happen. So what does that mean? That means on Tuesday, August 13th, LAFC takes on San Jose. They have not announced the time yet. At least I don't believe they announced the time. I'm gonna commit a podcast faux pas here and go on to my email. Nope, nothing from LAFC talking about the time. It just says will host Leagues Cup round of 16 August 13th at BMO. That's the email I got right here. Doesn't say a time. Jackson Ewell scoring in the 5th minute, scoring his first goal of the season in any competition for San Jose. Jeremy Abobasi with 2 quick goals. Hernan Lopez with a goal. Paul Marie with a goal. Now, yes, Necaxa went down a man in the 43rd minute. But all of these goals, other than the Paul Marie second half goal, they were scored before they went down a man. Necaxa just did not look good at all. They were down 4-0 and got punched in the mouth before they even really knew what hit him. So what does that mean? That means we take on a hot San Jose team. Not hot like Olivier Giroud hot, but like hot as in playing well. Here's the thing to realize, folks. San Jose is not good. Like that's not breaking news. San Jose is not good. 25 matches in the regular season. 25 matches in the regular season. They have 4 wins. Well, they've played 3 Leagues Cup matches. They have a win 5-0 against Necaxa. They have a hard-fought loss against a good Galaxy team, who's also eliminated, by the way. And then they have a win on PKs, but it really counts as a draw. But they've gotten, 5 points from 3 matches, which is a lot better than they've been doing all season. So it's one of those things that San Jose is one of those bad teams that's using an auxiliary tournament. We've seen, for instance, the Open Cup. We've seen some bad Houston Dynamo teams win the U.S. Open Cup. We saw Miami was terrible. Obviously, they got Messi and everybody else, but they used Leagues Cup last year to really start to propel them into what we see this year, which is a little bit of a juggernaut for Miami. We've seen bad teams use these auxiliary tournaments as ways to at least get right for a little. And the other thing that it does, here's what I want you all to remember. They've played 25 matches in the MLS regular season. That means they only have 9 matches left. And think about how far behind they are from something good happening. But when Leagues Cup starts, right, you only have to, win 6-7 matches, and then you have a trophy. So you get to reset your mindset a little bit. Even these bad teams feel like they have a chance because if they can get out of the group stage, now it's 32-16, 8-4 final. It's 7 total matches, and you don't even have to win all 7. You got to win 6 of them usually to move on. But a team can reset its focus. A coach can reset its focus. A coach can learn how to build players in who maybe haven't been playing as well in these auxiliary tournaments. So what am I saying? I'm saying absolutely San Jose can be a trap game. That is not a good MLS regular season club. But 5-0 on Necaxa, 5-0 on Necaxa, I don't care who you are. Yeah, Necaxa lost their head a little bit, and they were totally playing on tilt in the first half. But that's still a good club over there. So we've seen bad teams be able to circle the wagons. Chris Berman would say, right? Nobody circles the wagons. San Jose circling the wagons. You're welcome for the Chris Berman impression, by the way. So August 13th, we head to BMO. We head to BMO in the round of 16, awaiting the winner, hopefully after we beat San Jose. Not hopefully, when we beat San Jose. We take on the winner of Pumas, Seattle, and I'm pretty sure, and I think Instagram, y'all confirmed it for me. I'm trying to go back and forth, you guys, between Instagram and the chat and also on StreamYard and everywhere else. It was Gordo8 who said, yes, it is in Seattle. What's up, LAFC Juan? Love you, buddy. It'll be in Seattle if we have to place it. We're going to Tukwila, and we're going to Seattle potentially in the next couple of weeks or so. Of course, playing in Tukwila at Starfire for the Open Cup. That should be a lot of fun, the semifinal there. And guys, thank you for bearing with me, by the way. I've got this weird COVID cough, even though I'm like long negative from COVID and everything, but I've still got this cough that has stuck around for forever. And I've also been the only one talking. Man, do I miss Philly on this thing, because, we can banter back and forth and I can shut up every now and then, but can't do that for this one. LAFC moves on to the round of 16 to take on a very, very good San Jose team right now because they're playing well in the Leagues Cup. August 13th, BMO Stadium. Chat, you guys were absolutely on fire. It was a rough one for David Martinez. It was a much better one for LAFC as a whole, and certainly Hugo Lloris, an assist, the game-winning assist, really, because that's a game-winning goal for Denis Bouanga because he scored the first one and they didn't get any. So a game-winning assist for Ugo, 5 saves on the night en route to his 11th clean sheet this season, y'all. What a fun night it was, even though there were only 12,000 of us there. We'll see how many 10, 12, 14, 18,000 show up against San Jose on Tuesday, you guys. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody for sticking around late at night. It's Defenders After Dark, 11:23 p.m. on Thursday, August 8th, 2024. And you know how we like to end all our podcasts, you guys. It's so good to see you. Love having you. Miss you, Philly. Bye-bye.